Practically everybody respected.
I have denied that. I've started ours. Putting my video off.
Yeah.
And audio. Welcome, Imran.
Very nice listening to all the gossip about AI.
We can start in a minute. Maybe we can start a couple of minutes. Let a few more people come in and then we can start.
Yeah.
So Imran, I am going to
Should I
introduce
share my
you,
screen
and
or should I do that later?
Shaunak is also going to be there till the end to do some of the moderation and all of that. I may have to jump out in like half an hour, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just wait for about 15 people to join at least, and then we can start.
Yeah.
We'll be okay with sharing slides, or you want to just test it once, Imran?
I can do that.
Yeah, just check
You
once.
can share.
It says disable screen sharing.
Oh, I have to make you a host. Hold on. Or can one of you
I'll do it.
you make him a host? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
Divya, do you see an option to make Imran a co-host? I don't see that in more.
He is a co-host.
I just made him because I
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
I didn't see that option for myself.
Let me try resharing. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. Is it changing?
Yeah. It's a video split.
Yeah.
There are some 54 registered people, so let's just wait a bit. Yeah.
We'll wait for another 2-3 minutes and then start.
Yeah, sure. Right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So we'll get started today. I hope you all can hear me. So it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Imran Samad. Imran is a PhD student at the Center for Ecological Sciences in the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. His research focuses on how humpback dolphins interact with fisheries and tourism. And increasingly, this is a very important topic given how immense the pressures are on coastal ecosystems. Through his work, he explores what these interactions mean for dolphin survival and long-term conservation. Imran's academic journey began with a bachelor's degree in engineering from Kolkata, followed by a master's in wildlife biology from National Center for Biological Sciences in Bangalore. Now, in his PhD, he brings together both these worlds, technology and wildlife biology, to better understand the lives of marine mammals. While most wildlife biologists might be found in the field, Imran's love to often work in front of a computer, experimenting with new ways to analyze data and make sense of the natural world. Today, he'll be talking to us about automated tracking of dolphin movement from drone footage. Welcome, Imran. Over to you.
Thank you, Divya, for introducing me. I'll quickly share my screen. Yeah, is it visible to all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'll start by thanking Dipani and the Marine Mammal Network of India for allowing me to talk about the work to all the wonderful participants here. And as Divya mentioned, I look at interactions between humpback dolphins and other stressors or human activities that are there in their habitat. And for that, I use drones to see how their behaviors might be changing when when the levels of different anthropogenic activities change. And that is and how animals behave and what they do when their environments change is a fundamental question that we all end up asking at one time or another in a field of work. And so, sorry, is my video stuck?
It's still on the title screen.
Okay, sorry, I'll just one second. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's a fundamental question to ask about what animals are doing and how they are reacting to the different stressors that are there in the environment. And a classical way to do that is to look at what they are doing through, say, for example, focal group follows or focal individual follows and see how the behaviors are changing. And what new technology has allowed us to substantiate the amount of data that we can handle in these kinds of methods. For example, with drones, you can get these are amazing perspectives into the lives of animals, how they are moving, how they're foraging, how they're interacting with each other, so on and so forth. And drones have actually been around for quite a while. Tens and maybe 20 commercially available drones were around more than 20 years ago. And when we think of those kinds of drones, the earlier models were usually something called a fixed like a fixed wing drone, where it resembles an aircraft that can take off from a landing from a strip, and it had a camera attached to it, and it could be moved, controlled remotely to steer and record different places. But when we think of drones now, we think of something that looks like this. So this is a DJI Phantom Pro, which is a model from around 10, 15 years ago. And if you look at many research papers that have used drones around that time, you'll find that most likely this is the model that they had used. And it's very convenient because it can be deployed from anywhere. You don't need a landing or a takeoff strip for it, and it can stay in the air for 20 to 30 minutes. But technology has evolved really quickly. And in the past, in that about 5 years of the release of this drone, we had a new drone called the DJI Mini series. And it's relevant because it is a drone that can fit into your pocket. It weighs only 250 grams with the battery included, and even has a flight time of more than 30-35 minutes. So that's an amazing leap in technology. And from there, we have also improved in the quality of sensors and the amount of things that are there inside a drone. For example, this is a DJI Mavic, which is a higher-end drone. And as you can see, it has 3 different types of cameras, including a telephoto lens and an infrared camera, and it has many other sensors that you might find relevant when you are using them in different environmental conditions. And of course, as people started using drones, they realized that they are much more efficient in trying to understand different parameters of species, in this case, dolphins and marine creatures. And drones have been used to study how species interact with humans and other stressors that are there in the environment. Drones have been used to study species in the natural habitat, see how different individuals may behave and how social clustering and hierarchy might work in such situations. And at the same time, drones have been used to understand health of cetaceans and different animals by being able to estimate their body parameters like their size or their width, or which can later be modeled to understand how much fat content individuals might have, and therefore be indicative of their health. And more recently, people are also talking about how smaller drones might be used to collect samples non-invasively or almost non-invasively from cetaceans, like we do in case of large whales. And at the same time, there are also individual cases where drones have been flown quite low to identify sex of different animals, to identify even individuals. And interestingly, also they can be used in tandem with acoustic samplers to get a realistic and holistic picture of what might be happening when the different animals are interacting. But while drones can provide you all this information, it's to be noted that with great data also comes great responsibility to extract meaningful information from that data and to be able to analyze all that data to understand what's happening. And when it comes to analyzing drone footage, it is cumbersome and time consuming. For example, if you take this video itself, where you have multiple pods of dolphins going around, depending on what you're interested in, you'd like to extract different pieces of information like or what are the inter-individual distances like. So how cohesive are the different pods, or how far away they are from each other, or how fast they're moving, or even simple things like how many animals are there in the pod. And you can do that for an instance, but to make sense of the entire sequence or the entire video, you need to do that for a repeated number of a repeated number of times. And as you can imagine, that would take a lot of time and effort, and may not be the most efficient way to do things, right? And at the same time, while you have these challenges sitting in front of a computer, collecting data on field also has its challenges. So typically, when you're recording animals in any kind of environments, it is advised that the camera that's on the drone must be facing downwards at 90 degrees, which is also called the native view. But in environments like the sea, it's difficult to keep the camera facing downwards all the time, because you have cases of high glare where you might not be able to see what's there on the surface of the water because of the reflectivity of the sunlight. At the same time, there might be strong winds, because of which you might not be able to fly exactly at this position. At the same time, different animals are also sensitive to the presence of drone, all the way from being curious about what this flying thing might be to being aggressive. For example, this is a snapshot of a cheetah attacking a drone in some South African reserve as it saw it flying. And to the other extreme, animals might be scared by the drone, and they may show some evasive actions. So the whole point of a drone being non-invasive changes if you're not able to modulate your flight parameters according to the sensitivity of the species to these to drones and their noises. So while keeping these in mind, and to be able to make the most out of drone footages and drone technology, what exactly do we need? So in the broader sense, we need to be able to extract some sort of data from these videos that is in a usable format, in a general format that can be used by everyone. And a common way to think about that is to be able to estimate movement trajectories of animals, how they are moving. And while this can be done relatively easily for different videos, the trajectories are constrained within the bound of the frame. So for example, if you have a drone that's moving, then the trajectories will also be affected by the movement of the drone. And that is something we don't want. And at the same time, if we can somehow georeference these trajectories and get them, translate those pixel level values into what they might be in terms of latitude and longitude on the surface, we might also be able to do other things like estimate body size and environmental parameters, and so on and so forth. So what we asked here is there a way that we can get GPS track-like information from simple drone footage of animals while we conduct focal group or focal individual follows? And that is what I'll be talking about in the next few slides. How we did this was by processing the data in 3 different steps. The first step is using a machine learning, developing and using a machine learning model to first detect animals in the different frames of the videos. And then the next step is to be able to link all those detections together so that you can have tracks of individual 1 separated from individual 2. And these are relatively common problems that people have tried to answer. And there are several methods to do this. But what we focused on here is to be able to develop a georeferencing model that is quick and efficient and can translate all these pixel level parameters into on-ground latitude and longitude coordinates. So once you have the idea was that if you have a video processed using this pipeline, you'll be able to extract tracks of different individuals from videos. And once you have tracks, you can use different kinds of modeling frameworks that are already present. For example, you can use hidden Markov models or switching space models to be able to tell how behavior and other group dynamics of dolphins and in general other species might be changing with respect to different environmental factors. So I'll quickly talk about these 3 steps, the next few slides, and then talk about the applications of what we found, what we did. So the data to detect object, we use this framework called MOTHE, multi-object tracking in heterogeneous environments. So it is developed by Rathore et al. Again, alumni of the Center for Ecological Sciences, my own department. And it works on a 2-step approach, where in the first step you do something called you follow something called thresholding, where each frame where you are likely to detect animals is first converted into grayscale, and then a threshold is applied to that image to translate it into a black and white binary image to identify areas where dolphins might potentially be. So that reduces the computational time a lot. And the next step is to run a convolution neural network for these particular spaces that will tell you whether there's a dolphin present there or not. So in this case, we developed a 4-layer binary CNN network in Python, which was trained using about 8,500 dolphin and background images. And after a few iterations, we found that it had an accuracy of about 97%, which means 97% of the time, if there was a dolphin in the frame, it would be able to detect it confidently, and a relatively minor loss as well. So object detection was done this way. That was the next step. And once you had this, this is what the final prediction looked like. You had a video entered the pipeline, and dolphins were marked in the video, in the output video. And it worked. It worked. Yeah, it worked quite well, as you can see in this video. You can see the different dolphins are being detected and are marked in these green bounding boxes. Some of them which are under the surface are not very well detected, but that is the constraint that all such models face. And it is also fairly resistant to the movement of the drone, like you saw here. But the problem here is that the detections in each frame are independent of the previous frame. So while you can see the same individual is being marked by boxes of varying sizes in different frames, the model cannot differentiate, be able to connect all these different boxes so that we can distinguish trajectories of individuals based on the same paper, which uses something called a carbon filter that takes in state information from each of these detections. This information includes the position of where the dolphin is in the frame, the speed at which it's moving, and then it predicts where it might be, that box might be in the next frame. And again, you use the detection model in the next frame and get a bounding box of the real position of that animal. And depending on a certain overlap that you can define, in the model, you can assign a fixed identity to that individual. And as a result of that, what you find is you have individuals being detected, and you can distinguish them. For example, 0 is different from 1, is different from 4, and so on. But there are certain limitations to this approach as well, which the first and foremost is not being able to confidently track individuals over time. So I'll replay this video again, and you'll see while in the beginning you have fixed identities to all the animals, those identities are quickly lost as they come together. And that is because the model is not able to distinguish between two animals when they're very close to each other. And that is something that all these kinds of a problem that all these models face. But the more or more important problem is incorporating the movement of the drone in estimating these tracks as well. So, for example, in this case, you'll see that the dolphins are generally moving towards the left of the video, but as the drone moves, the
Imran, I think we're losing you. Is everybody else? Can everybody else hear him?
video, but as the
No.
drone moves, the position of the beetle from the dolphins are actually. Okay, that's sad. What was the last slide that was clear? I can go back there.
Yeah, just start this slide again, perhaps.
Yeah, just the video that you're
Okay.
playing. Yeah.
All right, I'll do. So this slide was clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go to the next one. So like I was saying, you have this framework that can help you track, identify different detections as different individuals. And this is what it looks like in reality, where you have different individuals moving separately. But there are a few problems in this case. So one is the problem of missing identity loss or switching identities, which you can see as a group of boxes that have come up here. So when two or more animals come close together, the model is not able to differentiate between these two. So it either assigns a new ID to the animal, saying that this is probably a new individual, or it switches identity of the two animals that are there. And this is a problem that a lot of people have been trying to solve, but we haven't come very close to solving it yet. But the more problematic issue here is incorporating the movement of the drone itself in estimating these trajectories. So for example, here you'll see most of the dolphins are moving to the left towards the end of the video, but as the drone camera changes, the position of these dolphins is shifted to the right. So what the model will tell you is that now the dolphins have suddenly started moving right, which is not really the case. So here is where we stepped in and we thought that if we can somehow translate these pixel level coordinates into geo coordinates, then we can mitigate this issue and maybe even estimate proper tracks of how dolphins are moving in real world. And while there are already many or few georeferencing algorithms, they come with certain limitations. For example, for them to work, you need to have the drone camera facing directly downwards. You need to have some sort of heterogeneity in the environment, which as you know, as you can imagine, is not there for seas and other similar environments. At the same time, they take a lot of effort and computational power to estimate even simple trajectories of animals. So we wanted an algorithm that can give us the same output at a relatively same level of accuracy, but can be done for any kind of environment at a much shorter time. So I'll quickly explain that algorithm, but before that, we need to understand what flight parameters mean for a drone. So a drone may be flying, if a drone is flying at a certain area, it will be flying at a certain height, and it will be oriented in a certain way. Orientation could be at any degrees from, generally it's measured at some degrees from the north, which is referred to as 0. So south will be 180 and so on. And it also has a camera that can move between minus 90 degrees, which is facing downwards, to 0 degrees, which is facing to the horizon. So if you have these three parameters and you are seeing something in your camera, then you can estimate, by simple trigonometry, you can estimate the distance to that object. And once you know the distance, you can get the latitude and longitude of that object, because you know the latitude and longitude of the drone. The problem is that when you're looking through a camera at an object, you're not looking at a single pixel or a single area. You are looking at an image, the center of which can be defined by this method. But the object that you want to track can be anywhere in the picture. So how we imagine this problem is that if we can somehow estimate how much we should change these two parameters of the drone orientation and the drone camera's angle, how much should we change those parameters such that this object comes to the center of the image. And to do that, we first rescaled this the position of the object in the frame to in terms of the position of in terms of the focal view or field of view of the camera's angle. So every video will have a height and width in terms of pixels, and at the same time also in terms of the field of view of the camera. So at what angle can the camera see in the horizontal and the vertical direction. So by simple scaling, you can get to translate the pixel positions into these FOV positions, field of view positions. And once we have that, by using a combination of simple trigonometry and planar transformations across these three planes that you can see here, we estimated these new parameters that could recenter the object to the center of the image. And once you had that, you could estimate the distance. And since we had the position of the drone and the distance, we can combine it to get the lat and long of the object. And this was something that we came up with using simple mathematics and trigonometry. So we wanted to test how accurate this is. So for that, we conducted multiple flights where we had a known center, a person standing on an object kept at a certain place, the latitude and longitude of which was noted. And the drone was flown such that the position of this object moved across the frames with the drone height and camera angle and orientation changing. So we did that multiple times, and we estimated the lat and long of this object from our method, and estimated error by subtracting the real lat long, by estimating the distance between the real lat long and the estimated position of the object. So quickly coming to the results then, the graph at the top shows how error in georeferencing changes with respect to the camera angle, which is on the x-axis, and the height of the drone, which is shown in color here. And as you can see, the for a lot of the angle, which up to like minus 40 degrees, the error does not change much. In fact, the median error is about 2.8 meters. And if you fly the drone at a height of less than 50 meters, and you keep the angle constrained to minus 40 degrees, where minus 90 degrees means that the camera is facing downwards and 0 is facing the horizon, this error reduces by almost 50%, which is good news. But when we are estimating the size, we also use the same exercise to estimate the size of an object that was kept on ground by estimating the coordinates of the two ends of that object and using that to estimate size. And oh yeah, that came up to about 6.7%, slightly higher than what we had expected. And we think that can be attributed to how the drone processes videos and takes care of distortions that might occur when the video is being recorded. And I can talk about that more later on. But we also wanted to see how this will work in real world. So we had a volunteer carry a GPS on a field with them and were allowed to move freely. And the volunteer was also followed using the drone. And then we plotted the trajectory of the volunteer using from the GPS that he was carrying and estimated by the drone itself. So the real on-field error that we estimated was about 2.3 meters, similar to what we had estimated here. So this is the realistic error that you might expect when you are using this method to track individuals and estimate their trajectories. Next is, once we had this method sorted out, we wanted to apply this to real-world solution problems and see if we can get something meaningful. So the first case study that we use this in is looking at bottlenose dolphins in Laguna in Brazil. So what happens is that there are many fishers here that use cast nets, and these dolphins approach these fishers, and as they approach, they sometimes give cues in terms of how quickly they dive or by slapping the surface of the water, and the fishes use those cues to cast their nets. And it's shown that when fishers actually are able to read those cues, they also get more mullets or more fish in their cast nets. So we wanted to see if we can actually georeference the position of these fishers and the movement of the dolphins and how close they get when these interactions happen. We did this using our framework, and on the left here you can see the white dots as the positions of the fishers, which you just saw in the previous video, and we plotted this on Google satellite imagery so that it can be clearly seen that there's not much positional error in where these fishers are present. At the same time, we also found that dolphins generally stayed far away from these fishers, but at a certain time, almost all of them came together very close to about like 10 meters away from all these fishers when they were chasing mullets to the shore. So this was one case study, and then we also wanted to see what happens if there are multiple animals in the picture. So this is the same video that I had shown earlier, where you have multiple groups of dolphins. One group comes from below and is slowly chasing the first group that was traveling a little slower, and then they end up chasing the entire group to further south. So first thing is we wanted to plot these trajectories. But before that, if you look at the video quickly again, you will realize that you can look at the two groups very distinctly, the identities of individuals are not very preserved because the animals were very close to each other, so you could not get exact trajectories for all the animals at all the time. So instead, we only looked at 2 or 3 individuals for which these identities were preserved for throughout the duration of the video, and we plotted them, and this is what you see. This is the lower pod, the pod at the lower end that comes slowly up, approaches the first pod at the top, and then they mix here, and then they all go towards the south. And we also wanted to see if we can estimate the speed at which these animals are approaching. So the green bars here are from the individual from the lower pod, and as you can see, they are traveling slightly faster than the individuals at the top, which are shown in the red bars here. And when they meet, there's a burst in speed, and the animals start moving southwards. There are many outliers also in this case, but this is probably because of identity switching, and it can be reduced when by carefully extracting what IDs are ideal in this case. So we had this, but we also wanted to see what other parameters we can get. We estimated the size of different individuals in this case, and it came out to be between 1.2 to 2.2 meters, which is also generally the known size of humpback dolphins in the region. The next thing is, while as you'll notice, the identities kept switching, but the pod was concentrated together in many places. So what we thought that instead of tracking individuals, what we can do is we can assign IDs to these pods based on how close animals are, and then track those pods instead of animals. And this is what you see in the map plotted here. These are different trajectories of the different pods that were there. While I showed a clip of around 15 seconds, we tracked the animals for about 2 minutes in this case study. And the other thing that we wanted to know is if we can accurately count how many animals are there in different pods and throughout the video, which we also did using the detection methods. In this graph, the blue lines are what the estimates of animal counts that we manually counted in the video for every second. And the green is what was estimated by the detection model itself. And as you can see, there's not a lot of difference, about an error of an underestimation of about 5 to 6%, which also, and with that, we could also estimate the cumulative number of dolphins in this area automatically. So this opens up a whole bunch of possibilities to be able to look at different things about dolphins and other animals in general. So for example, we can look at pod cohesion and how that changes with the different stressors like tourism boats or fishing boats coming in. We can look at how pods come together or split apart, or the dynamics of pods when these stresses are in the picture, so on and so forth. That is exactly what I am doing right now in Goa, using drones and looking at dolphins and trying to understand how their group dynamics and other behaviors might change when there are tourist vessels and when there are fishing vessels around, and or what can be done to minimize the impact of humans on dolphins. So we are currently analyzing this data using the framework that I explained earlier, and hopefully in the next presentation, I'll be able to show you results from this as well. But to summarize, what we wanted is to be able to test a framework that can give you GPS tracking like information of animals without the need to tag them and without the need to uh, attach attach GPS tags to them and see if that is possible. And we were able to do that with a decent level of accuracy, with a median error, as I showed, of less than 2 meters. And so we were quite successful in doing this. But there are also certain challenges that we faced. And to summarize, we get these tracks so that we can estimate all these different parameters that can be used to infer dolphin behavior and study the impact of different activities on them. And we wanted to do this while providing pilots the ability to fly flexibly in the environments by changing the camera angle, by changing the height at which the drone flies. And we were able to do all of that and get GPS tracks of animals from these trajectories, which was a very good sign. But where we got stuck was the problems of identifying individuals, which is a general problem that exists when we are looking at uh, automated methods to identify individuals and track them. And hopefully, and this is a problem that generally does not exist for animals that are solitary or are moving in very small groups. But it is a problem that occurs when animals are clustered together and they are very close to each other when they are moving or doing other activities. So hopefully in the future, as machine learning and AI advances, we'll be able to get methods that can solve this problem. Right now, what we found is that if we keep the drone relatively stationary and don't move it a lot while we are recording animals, we have a greater probability of resolving identities and getting preserved tracks for different animals. And at the same time, while this method is used to track animals, you can also imagine that since this method allows you to georeference different objects, you can use it to estimate habitat features. For example, say width of rivers or the size of boats that are around. So with that, I'll end my presentation, and I'll again thank the Marine Mammal Network for allowing me to present my work here. This was a collaboration between many people from all over the world who supplied videos and provided inputs on how we could do this better. And I'm happy to take questions, but if you'd like, this work is also under review and is currently in bioRxiv, where you can go and read more details about it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Imran. Thanks, Imran. That was a very interesting presentation and a very lovely study. If anybody has questions for Imran, please feel free to start your videos and ask the question. Okay, I'll take this opportunity to ask a question I have, and I've had it for a long time. Have you used this drone in areas where the water is turbid? In fact, one of the first videos that you shared showed some, I think, looked like a mud trail behind the dolphins. How effective is this in areas where the water is not very clear or is turbid?
So if the water is turbid, you can only see animals when they're on the surface, because even if they dive, say, half a meter, then they're gone. And if they are gone, then if they're gone, you cannot see them, then the model cannot detect them. So in that cases, what you have to do is, if there are few animals, you can manually link those trajectories, saying that this individual that has resurfaced is probably the same one that dove like 30 seconds ago or something. And that I am doing for certain cases for my Goa dataset. But when there are multiple animals doing different things, and when they are traveling or when they are foraging, then it becomes very difficult to link these trajectories together. So I don't think there's a solution to that right now. But maybe later on, when we know much more about dolphin behavior and movement, we can try to make predictive models to match what dolphin that resurfaced might to match the identity of the resurfaced dolphin to that of the one that dove.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about, whether those trajectories can be mapped once they resurface, and if the drone is high enough and if enough of the area is visible, because that would then be very
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
true. In case of few individuals, it's possible, but when there are many, then it's difficult to do so.
thanks.
Yeah.
Does anyone have questions for Imran?
Hi, Imran. Uh,
Hello.
can
Yeah.
you hear me? Yeah, I'm Dhanya from INCOIS. So I have a question for you. Actually, whether is it possible to observe the fish, pelagic fish schools using the drone technology? What is your take on that? And what will be the maximum possible resolution for observing such small organisms in the sea?
I haven't thought about pelagic fish species, but during my time at Goa, what I observed was a lot of schools of different fishes, probably sardines or other similar small fish that were close to the coast. And you can, on clear days, which is the winter season in Goa, you could make out these different balls of fishes that were there inside the under the water surface. And sometimes you could also see dolphins go and hunt in these balls of fish. So if you're just looking at from there, you can estimate things like the dimension of this of the school of fishes, or what area it's occupying, and so on. But if you want to look at individuals, then I think it might be difficult to do so for small fishes. If you have larger pelagic ones and you can see them on the surface, then it should be possible to say, for example, estimate the size or how fast they are moving, as long as they are visibly there.
Okay, Brian. Thank you so much. And it's a very interesting work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions for Imran? You can also feel free to type in the chat if you don't want to start your mic or can't.
I have a question. So Imran, I was just wondering, so you were explaining a little bit about how you started looking at dolphin clusters. So how, can you
Yeah.
expand a little bit about that in terms of were you looking at a pod as a whole, or how subgroups were moving as tracks? That also seems like
Yeah. So,
a very interesting way to look at movement tracking for a species like dolphins, where there is a lot of what is the word for it, where dolphins move between each other quite a bit. So to sort of get an understanding of how the pods
yeah.
are coming together and moving apart, and also a little bit about behavior.
True. So, initially we had thought that we'll be able to look at individual tracks, but then quickly we realized that that might not be possible. So we thought that the best thing to do would be to identify subgroups based on some parameters and see how these are interacting with each other. And generally, subgroups also tend to do the same behavior. So if they are moving, everyone will be moving. If they dive, mostly everyone dives, except in some cases. So we define subgroups in this case as animals that are within bound by the 10-meter chain rule. So if an animal is within 10 meters of each other of the other one, it will automatically be part of that subgroup. And then we saw how these subgroups are moving, and in the trajectories you can see that these subgroups sometimes come together and sometimes split apart. And since not all animals are detected by the detection model, if the groups are large and if large chunks of so say for example, if there are 10 animals and 5 of them move out or 5 more come in, then you can detect that change in the composition of the subgroup, and you can look at when that happened, where that happened, how fast these animals were moving when that happened. But say for example, if a single or 2 animals move out of the group, or 2 animals join the group, then it's difficult to say from the data alone whether it is a problem of of not being able to detect all the animals in the cluster, or actually animals coming into the cluster. So that is something that we are trying to solve. But that being said, if all these videos were recorded at a height of about 90 to 100 meters from the sea surface, if you are recording videos closer, and we have a case study from Brazil where we have done that, then you can identify movement between clusters quite easily also.
Thanks.
Imran, we have some questions in the chat. Can you take a look?
Okay. I might need to stop sharing. I hope that's okay.
Hold on, one of us can read out the question.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Shaunak.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Samuel asks, you mentioned it could be used to understand individual habitat range. Would this be in combination with photo ID, or can you determine individual from the UAV?
Uh, so there are cases where people have identified individuals from drones, but I don't think that's a very good way to go about it, because it's a hit and miss. Sometimes if the animal tilts a lot, and you are able to
Imran,
identify the fin and match it with the cattle that you have. Hello.
Imran, your voice is cracking and then it stopped. Sorry.
It might be a good idea, Imran, to put your slides
Yes,
off,
sorry
and
about
maybe it didn't
bad
answer.
network. Yeah. So I'll.
Shaunak, do
Do you
you
want to
stop?
stop sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Hello, hi Dipani, I lost.
Do you
Hello.
want to stop sharing your screen and then try if we can hear you better?
Okay, one
Yeah.
second. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So like I was saying, if the goal is to identify individuals, then I don't think drone is the best way to do it. Although people have done it, I think it's a hit and miss, because it depends on how the animal is oriented and how long you're able to follow it. And if you are able to get a good picture of the fin of the animal and match it with your catalog manually, so identifying individuals and therefore habitat range uh, is an easier thing to do with photo IDs from the boat or from on the ground itself. What we can do with UAE with drones is that if we have a team that's simultaneously recording data from using the drone and on ground, you can identify individuals based on photo ID then and there, and then you can match those with the tracks of animals and see how they are moving. So, for example, what I think it's my own hypothesis that we have individual level differences in how animals react to fishing gear in Goa. So I think there are some animals, probably males, that are much more likely to interact with fishing nets and take catch from fishing nets in Goa than other animals who are much shyer. So if we had a setup where there was someone on the ground identifying these animals, taking their photos, and someone else recording their movement and interactions with fishing nets at the same time, later on you can go and match those and see if this is really true or not. So that is what I think can be done with UAV. But both of these things together will be a little difficult to do.
Thanks.
Okay.
There's another question that Alisa is asking. I'm curious to know how these drones were perceived by fishers. Were they curious or apprehensive? And was any prior consent required? I'm curious because these are fisheries intense waters, and I wonder if it were perceived as surveillance, did it act as a challenge or for fieldwork? That's a really interesting question.
Okay. So before Yeah, that's an interesting question. Before we started this study, what we did was we went to the tour operators that use tourist boats there and the fishers who fish in that water. And we told them generally about what we are doing, and it's just an educational exercise. And I'm a student trying to understand these different things about dolphins, and they were all very happy to support it. And they were very happy to see the drones also. When I was recording data on field, the drone was quite high up in the sky, so the fish could not hear it very well, which that there was a drone recording them. But at the same time, since it was very high in the sky, you could not also identify individual fishers from the video, or individual boats also, because the name of the boat is written on the side, which the dolphin, which the drone could not capture. I think it all went well with me, and everyone was happy and curious about what I was doing with the drones also. Um, but yeah, I think if you're doing something like this and if you're trying to look at maybe individual fishers and very specific impacts of different fishing activities, then it would be good to start with, or it is necessary to start by working with the fishing communities first. I
Absolutely.
hope that answers Alisa's question.
Any other questions? Okay. I think we don't have questions anymore. Thank you, Imran, for sharing your lovely work. And I think it's going to be quite inspiring for a lot of people. You can get in touch with Imran. Have you shared your contact details with everyone?
Not yet, but
Can you
I can
just
share
put
my
it in the
email ID
chat?
later.
Yeah, or either way.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. This talk is being recorded and it will be shared eventually. So if you want to the recording of the talk, please get in touch with Dipani, and I think it can be arranged.
Thanks, Shaunak, and thanks again, MMI, for allowing me to present my work here. I'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you, Imran. Bye. Thanks
Bye.
everyone for attending. Bye.
Bye-bye.